Thank you for tuning into my second Meteor tutorial series. Today I'm going to show you how to make a quick, simple photo sharing app in Meteor. On my phone, I have accessed the app I created before, and I'm going to take a quick picture. I'm going to press OK, and you can see the photo will change to whatever I just took. Okay, so we don't have much time, so let's get started. Shift right click, open command line here, and I'm going to do Meteor create photo sharing app, and this will create a Meteor project, and I'm going to quickly add all the Meteor packages we need. First, going to photo sharing app and add React. Add flow router, add React layout to be able to use flow router in React. And one last package we're going to be adding is Meteor Toys, and this allows us to view the database without having to print it out. It's very useful. I can show you. So first, go to your Sublime, open folder, and go to the app that you just created, which is photo sharing app. And then you can go ahead, delete all these 3 files, and we're gonna create route.js as before. And I'm not gonna explain this one now, so you can go check out my first video for the rest of the things. For how the flow router works. And I'm gonna create index page.jsx react.create class. Oops. And then render return the flow. Okay, I'm gonna start Meteor, and I'm gonna pause. Alright, load it. So go to browser, localhost 3000, and you can see hello. The next thing we are gonna do is we're gonna make it so that we use method instead of just a plain text. So render, so render photo. This is going to be a method. Make sure to put comma here, and then in here we're gonna return div my new method. Alright, so what this does is it will execute a method called this photo, and it will this method will return this div. So it's pretty much saying like insert this div in here. And when this loads, you should be able to see my new method here. Okay, so there you go. And here we're gonna make an input. I'm going to do a method called onChange, and I'm gonna quickly show you what this does. So basically, whenever you change something in your input, it will execute a method called photo input on change. And it's still building the application. Also, you can see the input field, and I'm going to press F12 in my Firefox to open up the development console to make sure you're on the console tab to see my console. So what this does is when my input field changes, I guess the value changes, it will execute a method called photo input on change. Notice there's no round bracket, and it will execute console log with unchanged. Still building, and it says that. So you can see that if I type something, it will type unchanged, and instead of unchanged, I want the value of this input field. So I'm gonna give a reference, and this is going to be photo input, and instead of unchanged, I'm going to do this dot refs dot photo input dot value. And what this does is that it will actually grab the value of my input field and log it out into my console. It's refreshed. Okay, so if I type something, there you go, it prints something out. Now it's time to create a collection. So in Meteor, you create collection by typing photos equals to new mongo dot collection photos. And another thing we need in order to use collection in React class is by having this mixin of React meter data, and then we can use photos in this.data. So let's say on photo input change, we're gonna insert something in photos collection by doing photos.insert, and then we're gonna insert this one with the key of photo and value of change. And the reason why I added the Meteor toys as a package, as you will soon see, is that if you press Ctrl M, you can see all the collections. I'm actually going to quickly restart my Meteor server because I added a new collection, and for Meteor toys to correctly fetch all the files of collections, you have to restart it. Okay. So Ctrl M, and you can see the photos collection right there. So what happens if I type something? You can see that it got inserted right there. If I type something again, it inserts it again, but in the second one. If I type something again, it's inserted into the third one. You can see the number going up. Okay. Now, how do we now like print it out, right? So what we're gonna do is, instead of printing my new method, I wanna print if so before we print it, what we first have to do is we have to make sure that this is not undefined or has a length of greater than 0. So in order to do that, we first quickly do this.data.photos.length has to be greater than 0. And then if it is, right, then we are going to print out this.data.photos square bracket photo and say okay. So you can see that if I open up my Meteor toys again, sorry, it's blocked there, but basically this D is showing up right there instead of my previous thing I typed. There's one problem, is that we don't want D. We want the value that we last inserted. So instead of insert, there's one quick comment that we can do, which is called update. And this update, we want to update the first item in the array instead of keep inserting. So what we're gonna do is we're going to do this dot data dot photos dot 0 dot I underscore ID to tell them that I want to update this first one of the first one in index, and I'm going to do a set with extra curly bracket at the end, is that I want to set this JSON object with that has an ID of this. And you can quickly see that once it loads and we type something in, it will change to whatever you type. And if I look at my Meteor toys, you can see the photo changes to whatever I type. Pretty cool, right? Alright, next is this is also text, and we want like an image, right? So what we want to do is we want to do, like, instead of returning a text, we want to return an image. So let's do img source equals to, let's fill that up later. And there's one trick about image is that you can put like a link to it, like for example like HTML image, you can put like a source and like that, but you can also put base64, and I'm gonna quickly show you how that is. So I'm going to convert this image into base64, and you can see that it's a whole lot of text, and I'm going to put the source as a base64. It's a long text, and if I go back to here, you should see the image, right? That's pretty cool, right? I'm gonna quickly set the width to be 500 because I don't want this to get too big. And what we can also do is that instead of this static string, well, that's too big, I'm gonna make it 300. Okay, instead of this string, I'm gonna put this photo. Okay, so as you can see that it will actually not show this image anymore because it's a STF. But what we can do is we still have that base64. Oops. We're gonna type that in here. So what it did was it replaced this one with the base64 string. Pretty cool, right? One cool trick about input is that we can change this to a type of file. So if I do type file, what happens is that it actually changes into a browse icon. And what we can do is we can do this. So let files equals to this dot ref dot photo input dot files. So this files is this input, And we can do what I'm trying to do is that when we select the file, we want to convert the image file into base64 and then change the value of this input to be that base64 so that this image becomes the image that we select. So we have the input of the files, and we're gonna check whether the file exists. So it's simply just like if files exist and also the first file exists, because you can have multiple files actually. And we're gonna load file reader. This is part of JavaScript browser, and we're gonna do onload. So when it loads, we're gonna execute this method. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do photos. It's very similar to this one actually, but instead of a value, what we have to do is we have to do e, which is this one. I guess I could call this data. Data dot target dot result. So this and one last thing is that of course this onload won't get executed if we don't call it. So fr dot read as data URL files 0. So basically what this does is that it will read the browse file, call onload, and then this data target result has a base64 value in it. Pretty cool, right? So let's see that in action. So once this loads, I'm going to click browse, scroll down, and click on this guy. Okay, so yeah, it actually worked. I don't know why it just didn't work the first time, but basically if I select an image, it will change to that. So yeah, actually that's it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on my phone. Oh, actually I'm gonna deploy this. Meteor deploy photo sharing app.meteor.com. Make sure your address ends with the meteor.com in order to deploy this app. Alright, so it just deployed. So I just went on to photo-sharing-app.meteor.com. And you can see that there's nothing. I'm gonna quickly take a photo and press OK. Alright, so the reason why it's not working actually is because we don't have any items in there. And this update only works if you have at least one item with this ID, right? So what we have to do is if photos, if this dot data dot photos dot length is greater than 0, then we can do update. However, if it doesn't have anything in there, then we have to insert. And we don't have to provide the ID, we can just simply insert. And we're gonna deploy this again. Okay, and it just finished unloading. I'm going to refresh the website. and also on my phone, and I'm going to choose File, Camera. I'm going to take a photo of my minion toy and press OK, and I can see my photo on my phone. And if you just wait like a few seconds, you should be able to see. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that ends my simple photo sharing app on my Meteor. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on my next tutorial.